In order to get up and running with Django, we're going to use a cloud-based development tool. To help you get started, we've created a GitHub repository that contains all the requirements you'll need to set up a new Django project in. To use it, just go to the address at the top of the screen here and click on Use this template. Give your repository a name. I'll call mine CI Full Stack Frameworks Hello Django. Give it a description if you prefer, and then click on Create Repository from Template. Once your repository has been created, while we're waiting for create our workspace, it's worth mentioning that all that's happening right now is files in the repository you just created as configuration files to install all the requirements that this project will need. So you should feel free to dig through these files and try to understand how they work, but know that it's not a requirement in order to pass this course. It's just always a good idea to understand how things work under the hood. Now that that's done, we've got our workspace up and running and we need to install Django itself. To do this, we're going to use a tool called pip. And pip is a recursive acronym that stands for pip installs packages, and it's widely accepted as the industry standard tool for installing Python packages. Behind the scenes, pip is connected to the Python package index, which is a central repository for tens of thousands of different Python packages and utilities. So we can use pip to install all kinds of useful tools that are written in Python, and that includes Django. To do this, let's type pip3 install Django. And we'll see that Django is downloaded from the Python package index and installed here. Notice that we typed pip3, by the way, when installing this, because we want to install Django for Python version 3, and using only pip would install it for Python version 2. Before we continue, it's useful to know what it actually means when Django, or any package for that matter, is installed. In a literal sense, what pip did was download a bunch of Python files from the Python package index and copy them into a directory here in our workspace. So now that we've got Django installed, we're ready to create our first Django project. Django comes with a built-in admin command for things like starting projects and other core functionality, so let's use that to create a project. We'll type Django admin start project, and we'll call this project Django_to-do, and put a dot at the end of this command. This will signify that we want to create this project in the current directory. If we look in the File Explorer now, we'll see we have two new items. We've got Django to-do and manage.py. This is our project directory, the Django to-do folder, and manage.py is a management utility we'll need throughout the project. If we open the Django to-do folder, there's an init.py file which was automatically created to tell our project that this is a directory we can import from. We've also got three key files in here: settings.py, urls.py, and wsgi.py. Settings.py contains the global settings for our entire Django project, so things like whether we want to show debug information when errors happen, and things like where our HTML templates are located and which database we're going to connect to. These are all controlled in the settings.py file. urls.py contains the routing information that allows our users to type a specific URL into their address bar and hit a specific Python function. So this is analogous to app.root in Flask. And finally, we have wsgi.py, which contains the code that allows our web server to communicate with our Python application. And that's it. That's all we need to start a new Django project. In order to run our project, we can use that manage.py utility by typing python3 manage.py run server. This will tell us that a service is listening on port 8000, but it's not exposed. So we will expose that and then click on Open Browser. And there we go. The install worked successfully. Congratulations, we have created our first Django project.